Welcome back. In today's explainer, we're diving straight into something pretty fascinating. We are breaking down a specific source prompt that was actually designed to generate a classic 3D animated moral fable. We're not just reading a story here, guys. We're looking at the actual architectural blueprints for an 8 to 10 minute cinematic experience called The Greedy Wolf. If you're into seeing exactly how narrative instructions and visual cues blend together to build a really compelling message, well, you're absolutely going to love this breakdown. Okay, let's dive into this. We are putting the ultimate moral of the whole thing right up front. Greed often makes us lose what we already have. By setting this thematic stage before we even meet our main character, we get this perfect lens to view literally every single action he's about to take. It's not a mystery we're trying to solve, it's a tragedy of errors. And honestly, knowing the destination right from the start just makes watching the journey that much more impactful. Section 1. The Always Hungry Wolf. Let's meet our creature of appetite. So our story kicks off deep within a beautiful forest, where we're introduced to this gray wolf. But here's the thing. His character isn't just about regular physical hunger. It's this dangerous, relentless, psychological state. He's fundamentally incapable of just being content with his present reality. Always hungry, never satisfied with what he currently has. This deep psychological flaw, that's the engine driving this entire narrative forward. Moving into Section 2, the escalation of greed. The frantic chase begins. To see exactly how this builds, let's look at a timeline that maps out the prompt's use of a classic storytelling trope, the rule of three. The action is super fast-paced, mirroring this frantic chase across the forest floor. We're visually stacking up the wolf's terrible decision-making here. Look at the morning. He actually succeeds. He catches a small rabbit for breakfast. But instead of just eating it, he spots a fat sheep, completely drops the rabbit, and chases the sheep. So the rabbit is lost and the sheep escapes. Later on, he spots a deer near a river and thinks, oh, an even bigger meal. He runs after the deer and poof, the deer disappears into the forest. He is literally abandoning one meal for the next in sequence, constantly trying to upgrade his desires while massively downgrading his actual reality. And this brilliantly illustrates the core conflict of the whole fable. On one hand, you have what the wolf actually had, which was a guaranteed win, a small rabbit right there in his grasp. But on the other hand, you have what he wanted, the total illusion of a bigger win, that fat sheep and the big deer. By risking his solid, guaranteed reality for an elusive fantasy, he ends up completely, absolutely empty-handed. Which brings us to Section 3, the muddy pit consequence. Welcome to trapped reality. Now, as the afternoon wanes, our high-speed chase slams right into a trapped reality. The wolf is just totally exhausted and starving at this point. Let's map out the direct cause and effect of the climax here, because it is just a chain of absolute folly. Step 1. As evening falls, our tired, hungry wolf spots a farmer carrying a basket of food. Step 2. His greed completely overrides whatever common sense he has left. He doesn't just want a scrap of food. He follows the farmer, hoping to steal the whole shebang, everything. And step 3, because he's so blindly focused on stealing the absolute maximum amount of food possible, he totally misses where he's walking and slips straight into a trap. One final, exceptionally greedy decision triggers his complete physical downfall. Spending hours trapped helplessly in a muddy pit, that's a pretty abrupt and punishing change in circumstances, right? The source material really emphasizes the sheer amount of time he spends down there, completely helpless as evening falls. It's literally a stark, physical manifestation of the pit that his psychological greed had been digging for him all day long. Section 4, the moonlight realization. Time for a dark epiphany. By the time the wolf actually manages to claw his way out of that muddy pit, it's pitch dark and he's got absolutely nothing to eat. Sitting there alone under the moonlight, he finally has his big epiphany. That physical hunger has finally broken through the psychological delusion he's been under. So the crucial point is, he realizes his greed made him lose every single opportunity he had. The real turning point is this sudden understanding that if he had just been thankful for that very first rabbit he caught that morning, he wouldn't be starving in the dark right now. Section 5, visualizing a cinematic fable. Let's do a quick meta-analysis. All right, so we've looked at the narrative. Now let's explore how this is actually instructed to be visually executed. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how hyper-specific these aesthetic instructions are. The creator isn't just saying, hey, make me a cartoon. They're demanding a rich cinematic experience. They specifically call for a Disney Pixar style, beautiful forest scenery, cinematic lighting, and highly expressive animal characters. They want top-tier, high-quality 3D animation paired with emotional background music. These exact bullet points are what elevate a simple text fable into a super captivating 8 to 10 minute visual story designed to hit viewers of all ages right in the feels. Furthermore, the source actually provides an exact recipe for the perfect video thumbnail. Check this out. The subject requires a wide-eyed wolf looking at multiple animals while literally, yes, literally, dropping the rabbit right out of his mouth. The background needs to be popping with dramatic, bright colors. The overall vibe has to be emotional, ultra-detailed, kind of like a high-end children's storybook style, and topped off with the text overlay, The Greedy Wolf. It's brilliant, really. This single, incredibly detailed image is custom designed to perfectly encapsulate the entire narrative arc, that escalating desire and immediate loss, in just one split second. It basically forces the viewer to click and find out what happens. And that pretty much brings us to the end of our explainer. The fable of the greedy wolf is super simple, but its application is deeply, fundamentally human. We've just seen exactly how relentless desire can blind us to the things we already possess. So I want to leave you with this final thought to really reflect on. In your own life right now, what guaranteed rabbits are you risking today by chasing after some elusive deer? Think about it. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and as always, keep seeking clarity.